Are you exhausted in a way that sleep doesn't fix? Not just tired after a long day, not just needing a weekend. I mean that heavy, bone-deep fatigue that lingers even when you've technically rested, the kind where you wake up and already feel behind, the kind where small things feel harder than they used to. If you're in perimenopause, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not lazy, you are not dramatic, and you are not losing your mind. Your body is shifting, quietly, gradually, sometimes chaotically. Hormones that used to feel steady are now fluctuating in ways you can't predict. Sleep changes, mood shifts, your tolerance for stress feels thinner, and your energy doesn't behave the way it used to. For years, you probably handled exhaustion by pushing through it. That's what many of us learn to do. Be reliable, be strong, keep going. Drink another coffee, add another supplement, sign up for another workout class. Try harder. But perimenopause doesn't respond well to try harder. It asks for something different. This conversation isn't about spa days or face masks or buying another journal. It's about the kind of self-care that actually restores your energy at a physiological level, the kind that supports your nervous system, stabilizes your metabolism, protects your limited reserves instead of draining them further. Because here's what no one says clearly enough. Perimenopause is not just a hormonal inconvenience. It's a full-body recalibration. And if you keep treating it like burnout or weakness or a motivation problem, you'll end up feeling even more depleted. In this video, we're going to talk about the difference between performative self-care and restorative self-care. We're going to talk about aggressive rest, but not in a dramatic way, in a deliberate way. We're going to talk about pacing your energy instead of overriding it, regulating your nervous system instead of living in constant stimulation, and setting boundaries that protect your capacity instead of draining it. This isn't about becoming softer, it's about becoming wiser with your energy. You don't need to push through this season. You need to rebuild differently, and you're not alone in figuring that out. When your energy drops in perimenopause, it can feel confusing because on the surface, your life might look the same. Same job, same responsibilities, same routines. But inside, everything feels heavier. You might notice that your patience runs out faster, that you need more recovery after social events, that workouts that used to energize you now leave you drained, that even after a full night of sleep, you wake up feeling unrefreshed. It's easy to label this as burnout. And sometimes, yes, life is genuinely demanding. Many women over 40 are juggling work, aging parents, teenagers, long relationships, or transitions that require emotional bandwidth. But perimenopause fatigue feels different. It feels unpredictable. One day you're fine. The next, you hit a wall at 2 p.m. Your focus slips. Your mood shifts. You crave sugar or caffeine just to function. You may feel wired at night, but exhausted in the morning. This isn't just stress. Estrogen plays a role in energy production at the cellular level. It influences how your body uses glucose. It affects mitochondrial function, the tiny energy producers in your cells. When estrogen fluctuates, your energy system becomes less stable. At the same time, cortisol patterns can shift. Your stress response becomes more sensitive. Things that once felt manageable now feel overwhelming. Your body reacts faster and recovers slower. Add sleep disruption to that, which is incredibly common during perimenopause, and it creates a cycle. Poor sleep increases cortisol. Higher cortisol affects blood sugar. Blood sugar instability affects mood and energy, and around it goes. If you keep responding to this by pushing harder, you dig yourself deeper, more intense workouts, more caffeine, longer hours, more commitments. It feels productive in the short term, but it drains your reserves long term. Hormonal depletion doesn't respond well to force. It responds to stability. This is why what used to work no longer works. You're not less disciplined. Your physiology has changed, and acknowledging that is not weakness, it's intelligence. When you understand that this isn't a character flaw, something softens. You stop attacking yourself for being tired. You stop assuming you're failing at life. You begin to ask a better question. What does my body actually need right now? Not what it needed at 30, not what your friend is doing, not what social media says is optimal. What does your nervous system need? What does your metabolism need? What does your sleep cycle need? Because this stage is not about proving endurance. It's about preserving vitality. And the sooner you treat this as a physiological shift instead of a motivation problem, the sooner you can begin restoring your energy in a way that actually lasts. When your energy drops, the first instinct is usually to add something, a new supplement, a stricter routine, a more disciplined morning ritual, a different workout plan, a productivity system, a reset. It feels responsible, like you're taking control. But here's the quiet problem. A lot of what we call self-care is actually just another task, another expectation, another way to feel like we're doing enough. Face masks, green powders, 10-step skincare, ice baths, early morning cold plunges, journaling before sunrise, tracking everything. None of those things are bad, but if your nervous system is already exhausted, adding more structure can make you more tired, not less. Performative wellness looks good from the outside. It photographs well. It feels organized. It gives you a sense of momentum. But restorative care feels slower, less impressive, sometimes even boring. It might look like going to bed at 9:30 instead of answering emails, canceling a social plan because your body says no, eating real meals instead of skipping and being good, saying no to an intense workout when you're already depleted. And here's where it gets uncomfortable. A lot of women over 40 are very good at functioning while tired. We built lives on reliability. We kept going through pregnancies, deadlines, caregiving, long marriages, difficult seasons. We became skilled at overriding our bodies. Perimenopause doesn't tolerate that as well. The same resilience that once served you can now turn into self-neglect. This is where the shift happens. You stop asking, "What else should I be doing?" and start asking, "What can I remove?" Sometimes restoration begins with subtraction, less stimulation, less scrolling, less caffeine, less emotional labor, less saying yes when you mean no. You may notice that what truly restores you now is simpler than you expected: a quiet evening, a real meal, a walk without headphones, a slow morning without rushing. That doesn't feel radical, but in a culture that praises hustle, slowing down is radical. Self-care during perimenopause is not aesthetic. It's strategic. It's not about appearing balanced. It's about stabilizing your system. And sometimes that means letting go of the version of wellness that looked impressive and choosing the version that feels supportive. You're not weak for needing different care now. You're adapting. The phrase aggressive rest might sound dramatic, but it's actually very simple. It means you treat rest as essential, not optional. You don't wait until you crash to slow down. You build rest into your life on purpose. This can feel unnatural at first, especially if you're used to pushing through fatigue, especially if productivity has been part of your identity. But rest is not laziness, it's recovery. Sleep becomes sacred in perimenopause, not perfect sleep, because that may not be realistic, but protected sleep, a consistent bedtime, a wind-down routine, reducing late-night stimulation, protecting those hours like they matter because they do. Your metabolism also needs stability. Blood sugar fluctuations become more noticeable during this stage. Skipping meals, surviving on coffee, or eating erratically can intensify energy crashes. You might find that eating regular meals with enough protein makes a bigger difference than another supplement ever did. Breakfast matters more than it used to. Protein matters more than it used to. Not in a rigid way, in a supportive way. Instead of waiting until you're starving, you fuel your body consistently. That steadiness reduces cortisol spikes, it supports mood, it smooths out energy dips. Energy pacing is another quiet shift. At 25, you might have been able to work intensely all day and still go out at night. Now, your energy feels more finite. Instead of judging that, you plan around it. You schedule demanding tasks during your natural peak hours. You protect your slower windows. You stop expecting yourself to operate at full capacity all day. This doesn't mean doing less overall, it means distributing your energy differently. You begin to notice what drains you quickly and what sustains you. Maybe long meetings exhaust you more than focused solo work. Maybe loud environments drain you faster than quiet spaces. Maybe high-intensity workouts require more recovery than they once did. Instead of forcing yourself to keep up with a version of you that no longer exists, you adjust. This is maturity, not decline. Aggressive rest is choosing to preserve your nervous system. Metabolic pacing is choosing stability over spikes. It may not look dramatic from the outside, but internally, it changes everything. One of the most powerful shifts during perimenopause isn't adding more wellness habits. It's becoming honest about what is quietly draining you. Energy leaks are rarely dramatic. They're subtle, repeated, often socially accepted. It might be saying yes when you're already stretched thin. It might be answering messages immediately because you don't want to disappoint anyone. It might be staying in conversations that exhaust you. It might be carrying emotional responsibility for everyone in the room. You may not even realize how much mental bandwidth is constantly being used. Women over 40 often hold invisible roles: the planner, the mediator, the reliable one. The one who remembers birthdays, schedules, logistics, who checks in, who smooths things over. Perimenopause makes those invisible jobs feel heavier. What once felt manageable now feels like background noise you can't ignore. Auditing your energy means asking yourself hard but simple questions. What consistently leaves me drained? Who do I feel obligated to be around instead of relaxed? What am I doing out of habit instead of desire? Sometimes the answer isn't dramatic. It's just patterns. Maybe you're scrolling late at night, even though you know it wrecks your sleep. Maybe you're volunteering for tasks no one asked you to take on. Maybe you're still trying to meet standards you outgrew years ago. Energy leaks also show up emotionally. Ruminating, overthinking, replaying conversations, imagining worst-case scenarios. These mental loops burn more energy than we admit. You don't fix this by becoming cold or detached. You fix it by setting clearer boundaries. Boundaries are not about pushing people away. They're about protecting your capacity. That might mean letting a call go to voicemail. It might mean shortening a visit. It might mean saying, "I can't commit to that right now." It might mean accepting that not everyone will like your new limits. And yes, that can feel uncomfortable. But here's the quiet truth. When your hormones are fluctuating and your reserves are lower, you cannot afford unnecessary drains. Your energy is currency now. Spend it intentionally, not because you're fragile, because you're recalibrating. When you plug even 1 or 2 energy leaks, you often notice an immediate shift. More mental space, slightly more patience, a little less edge. You don't need to overhaul your life. Just reduce the quiet drains that have been running unchecked for years. Restoration isn't only about adding softness, it's about removing what's quietly exhausting you. It's easy to frame perimenopause as decline. Energy changes, body composition shifts, sleep becomes unpredictable. Emotions feel closer to the surface. But what if this season isn't just depletion? What if it's refinement? This stage forces honesty. You can't push like you used to. You can't ignore your limits without consequences. You can't live on adrenaline forever. And that can feel frustrating, but it also clears space. Many women describe a subtle but powerful shift once they stop fighting their bodies and start listening. You begin to choose differently. You stop chasing goals that don't align anymore. You lose interest in impressing people who don't matter. You become less tolerant of environments that feel chaotic or misaligned. Your priorities sharpen. You realize your time and energy are finite, and that awareness becomes clarifying rather than scary. This is not about shrinking your life. It's about focusing on it. Renewal during perimenopause looks like alignment. You move your body in ways that support you instead of punish you. You eat in ways that stabilize you instead of restrict you. You sleep as a priority instead of a reward. You simplify. You protect your mornings. You guard your evenings. You create rhythms that feel sustainable. And something else often happens quietly. You become more direct, less apologetic, less interested in pretending you're fine when you're not. That psychological shift is part of the hormonal transition too. Estrogen has long influenced how we navigate relationships and approval. As it fluctuates, so can your tolerance for self-sacrifice. Instead of seeing that as irritability, you can see it as clarity. This stage is asking you to become selective with your energy, with your commitments, with your relationships. Not hardened, just intentional. When you honor your physiology instead of fighting it, energy slowly stabilizes. Not perfectly, not every day, but enough to feel grounded again. Perimenopause doesn't have to be a slow unraveling. It can be a recalibration, a quieter, wiser version of strength. And that strength doesn't come from doing more. It comes from choosing what truly restores you. If you've listened to this and felt a quiet sense of relief, I want you to hold on to that. Relief usually means something finally makes sense. If you've been walking around thinking you were lazy, unmotivated, or somehow not as strong as you used to be, and now you're realizing this is hormonal, physiological, real, that matters. Perimenopause is not a personality flaw. It is a transition, and transitions require different tools. For years, you might have survived by pushing, by multitasking, by showing up no matter what, by functioning on little sleep and too much responsibility. That version of you was capable. She was strong. But this stage asks for a different kind of strength. It asks you to protect your energy instead of spending it recklessly. It asks you to rest before you collapse. It asks you to eat in a way that stabilizes you, not restricts you. It asks you to step back from performative wellness and return to what actually nourishes you. And yes, that can feel unfamiliar. You might feel guilt when you say no. You might feel strange going to bed earlier. You might feel uncomfortable setting boundaries that used to feel negotiable. But honoring your body now is not indulgent, it's intelligent. Your nervous system is more sensitive. Your hormones are shifting. Your metabolism responds differently. Ignoring that doesn't make you stronger, it makes you depleted. This season can either feel like constant frustration, or it can become a recalibration. When you begin to treat rest as strategic, when you stabilize your meals, when you protect your time, when you reduce energy leaks, something slowly changes. You don't feel wildly energetic overnight. You feel steadier, more grounded, less reactive, and that steadiness builds. You begin to trust your body again instead of fighting it. You begin to recognize your limits not as weaknesses, but as information. And perhaps most importantly, you begin to respect yourself in a new way. Perimenopause is not the end of vitality. It's an invitation to rebuild it differently, more sustainably, more intentionally, more honestly. You don't need to power through this stage. You need to support yourself through it. And if no one has told you this clearly before, let me say it now. You are not failing. Your body is recalibrating. And with the right kind of care, this can become one of the most clarifying, self-honoring chapters of your life. Slow down. Simplify. Protect your energy. That's not weakness. That's wisdom. Before you go, I want to invite you to join this community of women rediscovering themselves after 40. If you found comfort, clarity, or even just a moment of peace in this video, please subscribe. It helps this channel grow, and it helps more women find the support they deserve. And if you have a second, leave a like and a comment. I would love to hear what resonated with you the most. Thank you for being here. Truly.